will go downstairs and position the tent.
The message this morning comes from the Gospel according to Luke chapter 10. Just then a lawyer stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher," he said, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" He said to him, "What is written in the law? What do you read there?" He answered, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." And he said to him, "You have given the right answer. Do this, and you will live." But wanting to justify himself, he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus replied, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell into the hands of robbers, who stripped him, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. Now, by chance came a priest who was going down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. So likewise a Levite, when he came to the place, saw him and passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, while traveling, came near him, and when he saw him, he was moved with pity. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, having poured oil and wine on them. Then he put him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said, "Take care of him. When I come back, I will repay you whatever more you spend." Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? He said, "The one who showed mercy." Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise." There's much to be said about the unique environment that exists here at Carson Law. Among many things, one I often hear is describing the core as a brotherhood. But the question must be asked, what exactly is brotherhood? Moreover, how can such an abstract concept exist among so many individuals from different parts of the United States and the world? Most importantly, how can it be developed and maintained throughout the year, especially when we welcome new cadets through rolling admissions and in the second semester? Brotherhood has many definitions, but the most appropriate for Carson Long is the belief that all people should act with warmth and equality toward one another, regardless of differences in race, creed, or nationality. To me, that sounds as though this definition was written specifically for Carson Law. The reason I chose the parable of the Good Samaritan for our reading this morning is to illustrate that regardless of a man's religion, nationality, or background, he deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. Am I saying that you all end up being best friends with everybody in the Corps? Absolutely not. Nor does anyone expect you to do so. However, we all expect that each person can show appreciation and respect towards all members of the Corps and the staff at Carson Law. Have you ever been annoyed? Have you ever seen how annoying blood brothers can be towards each other? I have, and know that despite their anger, in the end, and regardless of their conflict, they ultimately love and respect one another. If you don't believe me, ask the Woos or Strauss at Myers. All too often, we tend to gravitate to those things and people that are familiar and comfortable to us. I know I do. However, if you stick to what you know and fail to reach outside of your comfort zone while you're here, and more importantly in the future, you will miss tremendous opportunities to learn and grow, and also to meet some interesting people along the way and do the right thing. Think about the story that Jesus shares from the reading today. The man he describes take a long and winding road from Jerusalem to Jericho. In reality, this road is 17 miles long that was walked on foot. The road was desolate and a perfect place for robbers to beat and murder travelers and make a quick buck. The individuals who passed by the man who was beaten came from highly respected castes in Jewish society, many of whom we would expect to do the right thing. Especially 2,000 years ago, a priest was a revered member of society who was charged with the well-being of all the people in the Jewish community. However, when he came across the man who had been mugged, he chose the easier wrong by simply avoiding him and moving to the other side of the road, instead of the harder right and stopping to see if he needed assistance. The next man was a Levite, who were a caste of priests in the Jewish temple, who helped priests in the Jewish temple in Jerusalem. Like the priest, this man was obligated to do the right thing and show mercy and compassion, but he did not, also choosing the easier wrong than the harder right. Finally, the Samaritan enters the picture. Samaritans were hated among the Jews of the day, although they shared a similar historical and religious tradition. The schism that existed between Jews and Samaritans was so wide that of the three individuals Jesus mentions, the Samaritan would have been the least likely to help the man in distress. But he did. He exemplified the golden rule, which is our school's motto of doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. The Samaritan saw a man in trouble and helped him, bandaged his wounds, paid for his travel, and checked up on him when he returned. Think of yourself. Have you gone out of your way to help someone while you've been here at Carson long? A new boy from the second semester, or one of the old boys who is really in need? I think about numerous examples over my 7 years here of this help, and I'm always awestruck by it. Most recently, when Johnson apparently ate an entire pizza in an hour, and then threw it up a couple hours later, and there were a number of cadets who stepped up to help him and get out of bed and do what they needed to do. This is what we mean when we talk about brotherhood. Everything in life, especially here, is based upon your choices. The choice to help someone out who is struggling in study hall. The choice to be on time and in the proper uniform. The choice to walk away from a situation when instead you can take a swing at a person who's bothering you. The choice to say nothing at all instead of uttering something stupid or ignorant. The choice to help someone who is having a bad day. The choice whether or not to skip out of your building or use a vape. All determine your success or failure at Carson Law. The month of January has been long. There have been a lot of basketball games, a lot of time spent. And I think of 3 different opportunities when brotherhood really exemplified itself. First, we beat Lincoln Leadership Academy a couple weeks ago, and Osafo hurt his back. It was an amazing sight to see the entire team sit down in the locker room whenever he was hurting and not want to leave and help him. Toffee was basically his crutch for about 2 days. I know he loved that a whole lot, and that's one example of helping each other out. Another was when we went to New York Military Academy this past weekend. Like they often do, there were 5 mattresses that were put in the room so they could all kind of hang out together and have a good time. And I think it's fair to say that you did. And last, Migliorini had an interesting experience on Monday whenever he cut his nose, and everybody showed their willingness to support him, help him out. Osafo went with us to patient first. It was a great time had by all. He didn't have to get stitches, so I think he was happy with that. But the bottom line is, everybody cares for each other, or at least they should. And that's what's unique about here, and that's what's special about here. And I think sometimes you take that for granted. Sometimes you're just counting down the minutes or the days until you can get out of here. But what you're really going to miss are the people and the relationships that you have. So always remember, who would you rather be? The person who chooses to turn his back on the man in need, or the guy who is always there to help in whatever way possible. To the new cadets, welcome to Carson Law. I hope you see and become a part of the special and unique brotherhood that we have here.